Hi, everyone. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Technical issues here. If anyone's listening in technical land outside these doorways, we don't have our screens that let us play our fancy, what we call imaging. So there you go, people. Okay? So we're just going to start the show. You're going to hear weird computer noises from Callow because he's hoping that something good is going to happen to come his way. And he's probably not going to join me for any conversations because he's, as we would say in our business, losing it right now. Yeah, there you go. Sounds like it's working. Okay.
Everybody stay calm.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Victory Monday,
Victory
everybody.
Monday, everybody. We won, but our computers don't work. Whatever. Still counts in the standings. I need to be able to read it.
I'm just going to explain what happened. I literally got up and I felt a tiny little shock.
Oh.
And then just the screen went.
That's it? Oh.
Just gone.
Did you zap it with your power or did it zap you?
I'm not sure.
You're the warlock here. We don't know.
I'm definitely not the warlock.
Okay. Guys, we won yesterday.
We did, yeah.
We won. Sam Howell was outstanding for the most part. I wish everyone would stop saying things like 5 to 10 year quarterback. Please, it's a little early for that for
People
my
are
taste.
Excited. What do you expect them to
I
do?
want them to be. I was excited too. I still am excited. I'm very optimistic. I like what I see. Can we just slow it down just a little bit? We've been searching for someone like this for a while. Can we just let it mature at its own pace? You know, don't drink the wine before it's time. Just let it mature. I know it tastes good and all. Just let it mature just for a minute. Let it mature for a minute. I don't think this will bother him because as of a year ago, people were just like, he's a fifth-round pick. He'll amount to nothing. And then now we're in this space where, you know, maybe we'll have a quarterback and let's just stop turning him into Drew Brees overnight, please. Maybe he will become that. How's it going over there? Good?
You can see, can you hear it? You know,
yeah, I like every time I hear that. So what does this mean? No commercials?
For right now, yeah.
Oh. You know how Daddy feels about that. I'm turning off the mic. You just got some blank air in a little bit.
You got 20 minutes. You're good.
20 minutes, yeah. 20 minutes. You got 20 minutes. Oh, I don't got 20 minutes. You got 20 minutes to figure out how to get me my break time so I can go do my stuff in between the segments. Anyway, we won, and I got a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts for you.
What's your first thought?
We gave the ball to Brian Robinson again. That was nice.
I liked your stat on the broadcast with him, too.
Which was?
When he hits 15 carries, what is the record?
It's like, it's something
like 9-2 or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it exactly
They're
was.
also, the other one is like Tyler Larson's like 8-1.
What?
Yeah. When he starts, they don't lose.
Okay.
Tyler Larson. When he starts, they basically don't lose. MVP, baby.
Correct.
MVP. Who knew? Who knew? Anyway, Robinson got the ball. Mm-hmm. I liked that. Didn't like the fumble, but whatever. You know, happens. Like the touchdown. Like the running. Like all of it. Like that they actually ran the ball a little bit. Albeit, again, this was pass-heavy game plan. Like, well, let me see the number. What's how? 45 attempts, 29 rushes. 29 rushes, 45 attempts. So there's still... that's still 60-40. We're still 60-40.
Yeah, when I saw 45 attempts, I was like, what? Again? What are we doing here, guys?
Again. I thought this was Antonio Gibson's best game.
He was excellent.
I thought he was excellent yesterday, especially yards after contact. He was excellent yesterday.
Right.
Hard running up the middle, caught a couple passes, broke some tackles. I think maybe the trade deadline thing passing for him was probably helpful in some way. I'd have to ask him that.
Probably.
But probably helpful for him.
Would think so.
I thought it was his best game of the year. He also was utilized. You know, a lot of times he's been on the field, but he's had very few carries in any game. One of the other stats I saw, I couldn't believe this going in. Brian Robinson was the only back on the team through 8 games that had at least 20 carries or at least 100 rush yards. That's it. The only one that had that. So it was nice to see. I know, albeit it was just, 6, but it was nice to at least see it again, that they had, that they got him involved, and he had 5 catches, so 11 full touches. I thought that he had his best game, and so I was happy about that one. I thought that was a really good development that they got the running game going yesterday, and they got him involved. and he seemed engaged. And I'd have to ask him, but I have a feeling that being part of the trade deadline passing probably freed him up a little bit, and he had a good role for them yesterday. So I thought that was good. Second week in a row that obviously the offensive line had a better day than they've had. This was a tricky one. I think differently than Philadelphia. No offense to Philadelphia's defense, but I think like they are a little bit trickier off the edge in what they game up and how they bring pressure. And I thought the offensive line stood up to it. My big concern going into the game was the tackles. Andrew Wiley, Charles Leno. Would they be gamed up to give up some free rushers? Because that's what's been happening with New England coming into the game. And it wasn't a problem for them. So the protection was very good. Howell had a lot of time. And so all good for a couple of weeks here with the offensive line. So things are getting better.
Well, and I was going to say this too now. They finally made changes the last 2 weeks, and they've both worked too. Now, granted, Paul wasn't supposed to be in because of
It's an injury. That's an injury.
But still looked dominant. And we actually saw shades of that in the preseason, too.
Far more consistent
than
Sadiq has been. Far more consistent.
And so this is my thing, is like they actually had, this was the one position where they actually had somebody that was like younger and you could probably make the excuse to get him in there. And granted, I know injuries happen, but I feel like that's a spot now. That's his to lose at this point.
And then with Larson, I mean, I guess you're supposed to give Gates the job because you paid him. Right. But I'm like watching this and I'm sitting there going, you drafted a center, you put him back in there. He's been better at the position.
Right.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Fill in the blank. So anyway, but I mean, listen, it's been better. It turned. This 2 weeks in a row, Hal's had big games. I mean, like big games. And I think that's why everybody's so excited about it. Over 300 yards passing again. He did have two, what I would call really bad decision plays. And critical ones. Like, everybody has the bad decisions. Everybody makes mistakes. Things happen. He's taken sacks or whatever this year. But you throw an interception at the end of the half like he did, that could turn a game.
Right.
You throw that pass at the end of the game, like a shot down the field on a third and whatever, that if you just complete it, and I know Dotson was wide open, but if you just complete it or you take the easier play and you just complete it, the game's over.
That's right.
So New England never would have got the ball back. So there were two big-time mistakes. And then there were 5 to 7 unbelievable plays that he pulled off. He had the third down where he's running backwards and just throws it into the middle of the field, and Byron Pringle's there. He had the 3rd and 23 run. That was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He had another one to Pringle. He had the one to McLaurin in the second half, the third down pass on the sideline that probably wouldn't have been a catch had they were actually reviewed it. I can't believe New England didn't review it because it probably wouldn't have been. And then the amazing part was they rushed up to the line, and he threw a dart to McLaurin on the next play.
That's right. Yep.
Listen, I like him. I want everybody to calm down. I like him too. I like what's going on here.
You never want to stay medium on Howell, is what you're saying.
We're in year one with him. It's the way I look at it.
Yep.
I think it's just I like what I see too. I think this is I'm like Rivera this way. I'm very optimistic and just in general, and I obviously am just rooting for them, and I want things to be good. And I saw this stuff late last year in the Dallas game, and I was hopeful they'd be right about it. And then in the spring, he looked good, and I started saying things like, he's going to be the most accurate quarterback we've had here in years. I mean, that's obvious, but until he's out there and playing every week, I think it's just hard to know. And we're just halfway through his first real season here. I don't want to annoy him anything yet.
Yep.
Like, I think he's had a good run. And next week, if they lose to Seattle 27-3, what are you going to say about him? So that's why I just want to I want to calm down. What I really like about him in general is I don't actually think this will get to him.
No, I mean, he's pretty much demonstrated that he stays pretty cool, calm, and collected the whole time.
And if he turns around, he shows up with a Lamborghini next week and he's wearing chains and he's got weird sunglasses, I will stand corrected. But I don't think so. I think this guy has got the right mindset disposition for it, which is, y'all told me I was, whatever when I was a 5th-round pick, and you guys ran me through the mill with that, and then I barely played, and I came in, I played one game, and then everybody said, it wasn't that long. I'm old enough to remember when in the offseason, every national media person called them idiots.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Idiots.
Yeah, they were the punching bag for a couple weeks there for no reason. And then it corrected itself like 2 months later when everybody was like, oh, maybe he is going to be a viable option.
No, it never changed their win total numbers. Like, none of it ever changed.
No,
they were always, like, win total numbers around 6.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm looking at them going, that team's got too good of a roster. I'm like, if he's the same quarterbacking play as the guy a year ago, then what do you think's going to happen here?
Yeah.
If he elevates them at all, like, what do you think's going to happen here? Like, how do you think they're worse than they were a year ago? And so I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. I think that decision's been validated. I think it has for a few weeks, 3-4 weeks running now. But, like, again, I wanted to wait and see. I just don't want to jump to conclusions with him. And I just don't think, like, don't fall in love yet. Just, like, let it play out. This is great. Let's enjoy this. I think we have a very good young quarterback who might really be an answer for a while. But like 7 months ago, you guys tried to get Lamar, and I didn't forget about that part. And I was trying to tell you all, like, to slow down. Like, give it a second. Like, take a beat. We're not getting him. They're not spending $50 million on a quarterback right now. Give this guy a chance. Heineke loves him. You guys like Heineke. Heineke loves him.
He's starting again next week, by the way.
I saw that.
Already announced, yeah.
I saw that. He had a rough one yesterday. Heineke, I heard.
Yeah.
It didn't go so well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy about this too. I just want to slow it down. And like I heard John Allen in the locker room, and he was like, he's going to be our quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm like, come on, man. Don't put that on him. You didn't like the expectation. John, of all people, who every year when we walked up to him and said, what is this D-line going to do? And he said, don't put the expectations on us. Says this about another player on his own team? Come on, man.
I mean,
you don't need to do that. Come on now.
Somebody did go through, and Allen has always praised whoever the quarterback is. Like, they went through and found quotes. He said the same thing about Wentz, same thing about Alex Smith.
Not like this, though. He said he's going to be our quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years, which I hope you're right.
He said
I hope you're right.
It wasn't 5 to 10 years, but he said the same thing about Wentz in terms of like, oh, I think that's a franchise quarterback or something like that. He said this.
I just want it to slow down because I just don't think it's necessary right now. They're 4-5.
Right.
What are we talking about here? Our bar's a little low. We're not 9-0. The bar's a little low here, guys.
Well, yeah, it's low. We've never had a franchise quarterback ever.
We have had some. We've mishandled it.
Okay,
it's different.
Okay, but still,
it's different. Don't make me do this because you know I'm right. We had Brad Johnson here. They blew it by going and getting Jeff George. Actually, predating that, they blew it with Trent Green. They blew it with Kirk Cousins. Uh-huh. They got unlucky with Alex Smith. I will describe it that way. With him. That was a bad injury. They got unlucky. They blew it with RG3. He blew it too.
Yeah,
that goes both ways.
Team effort on that one.
Yeah, that was a bad breakup. That was both sides were wrong. So so it's not like we haven't had anybody. We've had plenty of years with guys that aren't that, and we know that.
Go through the drafts next.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is this idea that we've just had terrible quarterbacking. No, we've mishandled the ones that were actually good.
Sure.
We have. If Kirk Cousins was here right now, he would have broken franchise records for passing yardage.
Yeah, for sure.
Easily, actually.
Right.
Easily.
But he was a nerd, so nobody liked him.
Nobody liked him because he's Kurt. He hadn't had his Netflix series yet. He hadn't worn a chain on a plane.
That's right.
He was just a nerd.
That's right.
And you know what? I bet his teammates liked him, but Dan thought he was a nerd. Mm-hmm. Bruce thought he was a nerd. Bryce wouldn't even call him by his right name. Bryce Allen. Bryce Allen.
Damn good culture.
Damn good culture. It is weird that the week that we traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat was leading into a Patriots game. And the last time we had a crazy turmoil week was right after a Patriots game. They fired Jay Gruden the week after that.
Yeah, it's true.
Damn good culture. And we show up here. Guess who's got damn good culture now? New England. They're trying to fire that guy.
He was grilled about it.
Boy, things could change.
Grilled about it this morning. Did you hear his answers?
They're asking him if he's coaching for his job.
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a minute.
I don't know which.
I'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
I'm going to bring that up because I think they're out of their minds there, honestly. But I was talking to a friend of mine who's a huge Patriots fan at the game yesterday, and he was like, he sent me a picture from his section, and there were people with bags on their heads.
What?
And I wrote back, I go, you all are entitled POSs.
Yeah.
I'm like, go look to your right and go show me all those Super Bowl banners up.
Right.
by your face.
It's a lifetime's
and
worth.
you walk in with a bag on your head, you entitled pieces of you-know-what. And he goes, we have high standards here.
Oh, stop it. Nobody cared about that team.
He wasn't wearing a bag on his head, but didn't seem that troubled by the people that were.
Nobody cared about that team before 2001.
No.
They were irrelevant. They were just like everyone else that we don't talk about.
They'd have a few years here or there.
Uh-huh.
They had Parcells coaching them, so they went to a Super Bowl.
Right.
In the 80s, they went to a Super Bowl and got stomped.
Yes.
Outside of that,
Irrelevant.
terrible.
Yeah, irrelevant.
Played in the high school stadium. Terrible. Nobody cared. Terrible. This guy shows up. They get Brady. They become amazing. And, 3 years later, you're the worst guy. You need to get out of here. I'm sick of you. Hate you. Hate everything about you. Anyway. All right, back to the Commanders.
Yep.
Let's see. Emmanuel Forbes.
Bounce back game, to say the least.
Say the least. Now, in fairness, that's not A.J. Brown.
That's right.
Or Stephon Diggs.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Not Drake London, for that matter.
Sure.
Like, it's not. So, let's talk about who we're facing.
Right.
2, Mac Jones, when he threw, this was amazing. I don't know if you heard this on the broadcast, where we heard them audible to something called Uncle Drew.
No.
So happy.
Didn't hear that.
Made my day. We heard them audible to Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew was the one long pass that they threw in the game. He had not thrown a pass over 20 yards in the air in 3 weeks. So, while I'm very happy about what Emmanuel Forbes did yesterday, they were literally scared to try a pass down the field because they think he's just going to throw an interception. And you saw it yesterday.
Yep.
They did nothing surprising whatsoever. Every pass was 3 to 5 step drop, and most of it over the middle of the field or a screen. Almost all of it.
Yeah, right.
Almost all of it. But it was good to see Forbes back, swagger. He actually had a big tackle towards the end of the game where he got in the way of Ramondre Stevenson, which I'm sure wasn't fun for him, but I saw him do that. So I was happy about this. That's a good development for everybody because we don't need him being a bust. Let me just put it that way.
Well, no, they need him contributing.
He was asked, I saw him in the locker room. He's actually great with the media. He's like, even through the bad stuff, he was open to talking to everybody. And he said, someone asked him, they were like, have you ever been through something like this when you were high school or college? He goes, no. And they were like, well, how'd you get over it then? And he goes, I just had to take a beat, put my pride aside for a minute. And he credited his teammates. He said they kept me up. And then he had his opportunity. He had kind of signaled he was coming back because he, next time, Rivera doesn't like to tell me things. I'm going to tell Emmanuel, when you're going to start and play a lot, don't tell everybody on IG you're going to do it.
Right,
beforehand,
yeah.
they wanted that to be a little bit of a surprise because they were not signaling that. Anyway, whatever. He had a good one. That was good development yesterday.
No, I thought not only did he play well, all his teammates came out afterwards too. Like I saw tweets from multiple players yesterday just saying, he's back essentially.
Good.
So no, I'm glad that he's contributing again.
On the post, and I just saw a video of Chase Young walking out onto the field for the first time as a 49er. They had a bye week, so this was his first week there. I didn't know what to expect. Now, again, in the same way I talk about Forbes, like I was glad to see what I saw, and I'm glad the defense largely played the way they did with the exception of one breakdown play. Largely, I thought they played really well. I want to take into account who they were playing, when they were playing them.
Yeah.
That is one of the lowest scoring offenses in the league, one of the worst offenses in the league. They don't try many passes. And I walked in going, I don't know how we're going to judge the pass rush because I don't think they're going to give us opportunities. Like this guy drops back, gets rid of the ball immediately. Like I don't care who your ends are. You've got no real shot. So I'm going to go with incomplete grade on that because I don't know. Now this week when we play Seattle and Geno takes long drops and has downfield receivers that he wants to take shots with, I think we're going to get a much better gauge of where we actually are without Montez and Chase. And so this week to me I'm glad the defense played the way it played, but I'm going to call it incomplete because of who they played, the style that they're playing, their inability to want to extend any play whatsoever. I think it's just hard to know. Did our ends play well? I don't really know.
Okay.
So I think it's just hard to know at this point.
No, I mean, and that we expected that going into that game,
Yes.
that offense is neutered, essentially, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
They're not trying anything groundbreaking.
KJ Henry call. All right, I got to talk about this. That was among the most ridiculous, worst penalties I've ever seen called.
It's terrible. Yeah, it was awful.
I cannot, for the life of me, understand how they didn't pick up the flag.
Yeah.
And that because they showed the replay.
Right.
And they showed it on the big screen there, which is, normally they don't do.
Right.
But they did. And we're watching it, and I'm sitting there looking for any because I know all the rules. He broke none of them.
Right.
None of them. And then for that referee afterwards to claim to the pool reporter, I think it was Nikki Jabala, whoever it was that talked to him. They talked to one reporter, and they asked him specifically about this play. And he's the one who made the call. The referee made the call. He said what he's supposed to do. He named like 2 moves that he's supposed to. Did you see this?
No.
The gator roll. I got to read this. It is just an utterly ridiculous explanation of why you utterly ridiculous explanation. Listen to this. Can you walk us through the play where KJ Henry is called for roughing the passer? He said, I was the calling official, and the call was roughing due to full body weight. The ruling on the field was that the defender came down with forcible contact chest to chest. He didn't. He hit him from the back.
Right.
He didn't perform one of those acts to remove most of that body weight, a gator roll, or a clear to the side when he was coming in. He actually did roll off.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't know what a gator roll is. I'd have never heard of that. I didn't know that was common knowledge, and I cannot believe a lead official said to not get a roughing of the passer, he needed to do that. I don't even know what that is.
Right.
He said he came down directly with the force on the player, so the category was full body weight. And then she followed up and said, in these situations where the defender is coming from the weak side and the quarterback has sort of his back turned to him, what's the defender supposed to do to avoid putting his full body weight on him?
Right.
And he said there are 2 common techniques. One we call the gator roll, where if he takes that player and rolls to the side so they both land on their side, that 90-degree rotation as he comes around. Or he comes down and breaks the fall first with his hands and does a crab-like fashion on top of a quarterback. That's an actual answer from an NFL referee.
As if it wasn't happening.
What are you talking about?
As if it wasn't happening 100 miles an hour, too. Because it was a full speed play, too.
He sacked him.
Yes.
He sacked him from his blind side.
Right.
He hit him in the area you're allowed to hit him.
Right.
And trust me, there are not many areas you're allowed to hit a guy anymore.
Correct.
I was perplexed.
Yeah, that was one of the worst, if not the worst call I've seen against this team. And there's been quite a few of them.
And I felt so bad for
years.
him. That's his first career sack. Like,
Yeah.
I felt so bad for that guy. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Ed, that got them a field goal.
Yeah, right.
That was a gift of points.
Yep, exactly.
So, I don't know, man. I've seen a ton of bad calls. Every year, every team's got them. Last year, we had them in that Giants game where McLaurin got that ridiculous call for a penalty that made no sense, and then they didn't, the no call on the next play. This thing yesterday, I don't know what he was looking at.
Neither do I.
When they look at this again today, of course, they'll never apologize or say anything,
not.
but how is he going to look at that and justify that again? And it was so weird because I looked up and it was on the Jumbotron. And I'm like, even their crowd was like, oh, I don't know how they called that.
Right, exactly.
Because they're not idiots. They had bags on their heads, but they're not idiots.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Really bad. Like really, 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 really bad. The statistics from this game are, I mean, the only thing it kind of reads to me is that if it wasn't for a few critical things, they would have blown them out yesterday.
Yeah, agree.
Yards, 432 to 327. By the way, back-to-back 400-plus yard games. It's been years since they've done that. Back-to-back 400-plus yard games. Time of possession, 37-10 to 22-50. They should have won 31-10. This game shouldn't have been. This game, frankly, should not have been close. Eye test, stat test, everything about it. This game shouldn't have been close. Howell doesn't throw that pick at the end of the half.
Right.
Robinson, listen, that happens, a fumble, and they gave up a touchdown really fast. The 64-yard touchdown run, the lone bad play the defense had, 64-yard touchdown run. The fumble at the end of that half, the interception at the end of the half.
Yeah.
This was a blowout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The score is not indicative of how badly they beat them.
Right.
And maybe it's better off that way because nobody will pay attention to them. It's good.
Maybe. I would say, though, the blemish, and I know you were trying to slow the hype train down on Sam Howell, is I've not yet seen a full game from him, and I know it's only 10 games in, where we just haven't gotten either the massive mistake or the consistency. Like there's
happened last week too. I mean, like he was incredible against Philadelphia, and he threw a really bad pick in the fourth quarter.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I love him too. I'm all in on this. I'm very optimistic about what I see too. I'm really happy about the way he's playing. I think Rivera and company have been validated by this decision big time, big time. And today, because when people look up at the passing stats and they see he's number 2 in the NFL, it's going to be undeniable that he's having a very, very, very good first full season as their quarterback. And they're all being validated for this. And I'm happy for them that they're being validated. Yeah. I don't like the, oh my God, he's a Hall of Famer. You know, it's like, stop.
Nobody said that.
Just stop. I just thought it was so funny that Alan said it. Because I'm like, you're the one who says if we talk about you guys as a group, don't put those expectations on us.
Right.
Why are you doing it to your teammate? Like, don't do it to him. But Hal's like, you know, if you tell him that, you're like, he said you're going to be quarterback for the next 5-10 years, he'll just go, yeah. And then it's like, you know, answer the question normally. I do like his disposition. I like the kind of the attitude he has. I think he'll be. I think he'll handle it.
Got it.
I think.
Just waiting for what you were going to say there.
I don't know what's going to show. You know, he shows up in an orange Bugatti tomorrow. I don't know, man. You know, I'll be like, oh, God.
Don't think he's the type.
I hope not.
But he's only got 5th round pick money. Remember, he's not a top pick.
That's right. He doesn't have the top money yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. According to John Allen, to be his agent, the way he's going.
Right.
But again, I agree with you. Like, keep in mind now, like, the score is 20-17. One of the reasons was a B-Rob fumble at the wrong part of the field. Okay, happens. Gave up a touchdown. I don't blame the defense for that. It's fine. Happens, right? One of the reasons is Ramondre Stevenson had a big run on a busted play, and it's terrible because the guy had 8 carries for like 30 yards other than that one huge run, but they gave up a big play, whatever, okay? Hal, who had an outstanding game, the stuff at the end of the half, you could lose because of that.
Correct. Exactly.
The throw at the end of the game. 3rd and 6, 2-something on the clock. You get a first down. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to get the ball back with 10 seconds left, no timeouts. Right. That's like the best that's on their side of the, you know, like their own 10-yard line or something. That's the worst that's going to happen. He's got to make a better decision there. That was a bad decision to try that. I know he had the right read at any other point in the game where he had a one-on-one down the sideline go route, but you don't throw it there. It's a low percentage throw. And he gave them the ball back because of it with a 2-minute warning, only up by 3. Those are 2 critical errors that were made.
Yep.
And, you know, I thought he played great too, and he made some hero plays yesterday, like unbelievable throws and great runs, which is why I'm really bullish about it, but it's why I want everybody to slow your roll a little bit. Now, back to the end of the half for a minute. Yo, call a timeout.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is what I think happened, and I don't know. This is what I think happened. So I thought when they got to the 5, I can't remember who caught the pass, but I thought he went out of bounds. I think they did too. I think they were surprised because when I looked up and saw them running up to the line, I looked up and saw the clock running. I was surprised. Mm-hmm. So they called it, I guess, forward progress inbounds. It was the opposite side of the field from where the Commander's sideline is.
Got it.
And all the way down in the corner. So not that they shouldn't know this, but I think they missed the call. I don't know that for sure because the way they acted from that point forward felt that way. I missed it too. I thought he went out of bounds.
Yeah.
And the second he went out of bounds, I'm like, okay, 40 seconds left on the clock. I looked up and they're charging up to the line. I think it's because he does it. They didn't realize it. The clock started running. They went into a scramble mode. They had 3 timeouts.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was what was baffling about it.
They had to use one of them there just to calm everybody down.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And that was a mistake. And I actually think largely this year, one of the big developments early was they've been actually very good in the red zone. Like very good, very creative, very good. They're getting walk-in touchdowns. They've been more effective there than in between the 20s. A couple weeks ago, I'm like, hey, take some of that creativity and move it to another part of the field because you're clearly doing well here. This one got away from them.
Yep.
Like they were asleep at the wheel. And I blame Hal too. Like he could have turned his back around to the ref and go, timeout, man.
Yeah, right.
He could have done that. Like they were in no rush. They had 3 timeouts. That moment got away from them. And then I don't absolve him. He made a bad pass. He should have thrown that away, obviously. But where were the coaches? Call timeout, man.
Yeah, right.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Very much the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, I do want to mention the aforementioned Bill Belichick being asked by the media and on WEI on his weekly appearance, are you coaching for your job?
Yeah.
The man is 17 wins away from the all-time record for coaching wins, has been to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 of them, all of them since the turn of the century. And they have the gall to ask him if he's coaching for his job, which always goes back to, it would be amazing if he got fired this week, because we have some kind of history of people losing their minds when they lose to us.
Well, yeah, I mean,
now this has been going on for a few weeks up there. It's not just us.
I know, but for this
it
franchise, for this franchise though, they're not a good franchise. So when you lose to them, people do lose their minds.
I should have the running list of how many people were fired right after they lost.
It's either
to us.
coordinators or head coaches. Yeah, because
yes.
I remember
or people do crazy personnel moves the second after it happened. Last year, the Eagles signed 2 defensive linemen after we ran the ball on them a lot.
Right,
like immediately, right after it happened.
The one that always comes to my mind is when we beat the Saints. I think in 2019 or 2018. I think maybe it was 2018. It was the one where I forget. It was an upset. It was 2017 or 2018, and they fired Rob Ryan after the game.
Yes, immediately. Or how about
okay,
Rivera?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fired right after us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There was somebody else left. No, the Colts.
The
Colts.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They lost to us.
Yeah.
Fired right. Brought in Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
Lost their minds.
Right. Exactly.
And now, of course, because everyone thinks they're going to get right on us. That's what it is. And so they're like, we are the definition of the final straw for some people. If you lose to us early in the season, no one thinks much of it. It's right now, right in the middle of the year where you go, okay, we're going to fix it all this week. We'll get it right with them. You pump yourself up the whole week, and then when they lose to us, they just can't believe it, and they lose their minds. Everyone death spirals out of it.
Per usual, it's about expectations. And so the beginning of the season for this team is always that they're going to be good. And they're not. I'm talking about the Commanders.
They're right in the middle.
Talking about
we'll
the
be right in the middle.
Yeah. Mediocre is the definition.
That's how even me, Mr. Optimist, goes, I could see them get to 9 or 10, but like I think they're going to be right where they were, right in the middle somewhere.
Right, but then in the middle of the season where Ron becomes Super Ron and beats everybody, that's when the other teams, the expectation is they don't really remember that this team in the middle of the season becomes the Chiefs all of a sudden. So,
Super Ron would have been a great Halloween costume.
Super Ron.
What does Super Ron wear? Definitely the glasses. He's definitely got the glasses on.
I was thinking more along
Super Ron.
You're not an.
Does he have a cape?
You're not an
Super
anime.
Ron have a cape?
No, I was gonna say you're not an anime fan. I'd go like full Dragon Ball Z. His hair goes sticking up blonde with like an energy aura around him.
Super Ron.
There are a bunch of people in their cars that got that, and a bunch of people that have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about,
his
but
hair
I like
would
it.
spike up blonde with an energy aura around him.
I'd like to see what that looks like. I'd like to get a markup of that. Can someone do a drawing for me? See what Super Ron looks like? Let's see what this is Super Ron. Super Ron, superpower. How about this one? Commanders PR. 3-0 against Belichick.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Super Ron. You like that? You like that?
So hold on here. I'm just gonna. This is on the radio. Like that's normal.
Oh, that guy.
That's normal Goku. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just normal. But then when he gets angry and becomes really invincible, he becomes that.
Oh, Super Ron.
So Super Ron. His hair turns blonde.
Hair
spikes
turns
up,
blonde.
Gets green eyes.
Muscles get a little more jacked.
Yeah, gets huge and loses his mind a little bit too.
What is he wearing? It's like MC Hammer parachute pants, and then what's the top?
It's supposed to be like a karate like gi, like that.
The top looks like something that a white 50-year-old woman would wear.
I mean, the show was made
if she was walking down, like she was walking out of Vuori and going into Lululemon, I would be like, that's what she's wearing.
The show was made in the late 80s, early 90s, so I mean,
sounds about right.
Makes sense for the time.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's Super Ron though.
Yeah, she's going to check out Bethesda Row. She's just walking down.
Don't make fun of my hood like that.
It's my hood too. That's New Beverly Hills, baby.
I mean,
it's New Beverly Hills.
See those buildings up
there? I shouldn't tell anybody, but I don't know if y'all know what's going on around here, but like we are the bomb these days.
Huge buildings there now.
Caddy's or Cordell's gonna have hot women again. Watch.
That ain't gonna exist in 5 years, and you know it.
Back in the day, Montgomery's Grill. Oh man, that place used to kill it. Then it became a bank or something. I don't know what they did.
There are no dive bars anymore.
Yeah.
I guess actually there's one left.
What was Belichick's answer? It was something like, I'm just getting ready for the Colts. Or something
Pretty
like
much
that.
gave
He did the typical like, oh, don't at me with
my
this.
favorite one was after like the third or fourth Patriots reporter trying to pry on coaching for your job or whatever. One of the reporters tried to say, "Well, it's been a hard year. So what have you taken away? What have you learned from this season so far?" And there's just and he just goes, "I don't even know what you're asking."
Yeah, what are you asking?
Just like, yes.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're asking.
Good for Belichick because the foundation has been laid that he doesn't have to answer anything, and he never has. So this is just another day for him.
He doesn't have anything to answer for.
Right.
He doesn't. Yes, they're having a bad year. Yeah, I don't like their quarterback. Yeah, I don't actually, now that they don't have a really good quarterback, I don't really love their team, honestly. But you get more than a couple of an off year or two and then a bad year when you have his record.
Right.
You entitled people. Like, what is wrong with you?
Greeny actually.
What if in year one of Gibbs 2.0 we're like, listen, old man.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Well, that's what Greeny was actually getting at today. He was running through the coaches of like, this is like asking to fire Bill Walsh. He said Joe Gibbs. He went down the list and was like, you can't fire him.
You can't fire him. That's my opinion on it. I don't think you can. And then some of this happened because somebody saw a video of the Crafts looking at something and then mouthing something to the effect of, we're not good enough. Now, nobody knows what they were looking at or what they were mouthing that at, but people assumed that was about Belichick somehow and started asking him about it.
Oh, God.
Y'all are grasping for straws up there.
You can't do that in today's day and age.
I think,
Unless you have definitive audio of them saying we're not good enough.
To your point about where the bar is on this team every year, where people want to be optimistic, but they realistically think like if they got to 11, that would be astronomical, like beyond expectation, right? For them, they think the floor is 7 or 8. Floor. They just assume.
Oh, honey.
Right. That's what I'm telling you. Like, if they were like, all right, our division's good this year, and if Rodgers plays, all right, so we'll only win 8.
Right.
That's in their mind. They don't understand this. They don't think it's been so long that they don't understand it. And I've been trying to tell them for a few years. I'm like, that quarterback you have, he ain't it.
Of course.
And I'm like, we've lived this. When you got the quarterback that ain't it, the rest of your team better be incredible.
That's right.
Or you're or you're going to be middling at best is what it's going to be. You're going to be middling at best. As it turns out, the quarterback's pretty bad, and he can't elevate the players around him, but they can't elevate him either.
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Pregame was so funny. They're like, we're missing Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Did you think that that's A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb? Because they're not.
Right.
So, like, what do you, like, oh gosh. No wonder your season went awry. Kendrick Bourne's missing today.
That's where I think I haven't lost my mind, but I kind of can't believe Belichick's trying to build the team the same way. That's where I'm pretty shocked at it.
I came around on this by the end of last week. I think their defense looks like a Belichick defense again, and I don't think they're bad. Like, I actually think they're right on par with what they normally are. Like, their back end is fast. They're very tricky. They game up a lot of stuff. That's why I want to give our offensive line a lot of credit. They dealt with a lot. I can't wait to watch tonight because they dealt with a lot yesterday. That team's very tricky with their pressures. Their defense has gotten pretty good. Their problem is they can't score enough. Everything is a grind for them. And when they play a team that hits a couple big plays on them, they can't catch up.
Right.
They can't catch up. We've lived that.
Right.
We lived that, or we just let our average quarterback uncork it too many times and things go wrong.
45 attempts.
No, this time, we got Hall of Famer Sam Howell because that's what everybody's telling me this week.
Slinging Sammy Hall. Sammy.
You wouldn't let me call him that 3 weeks ago. Remember that? I said slinging Sammy Howell. You wouldn't let me call him that.
I still don't think you should call him that.
I don't know. Listen, I'm trying to slow the roll on him because I want to take the pressure off of him. I don't want anybody to get this wrong. I'm very excited about him. Like, I've been since the spring. I liked what I saw in the summer. I really, I think there's a big upside here. And I'm really happy for the building that they've been validated here with him through half of the season. Like, he's not the problem. That dude's been sacked 44 times. He's number 2 in passing.
Yep,
He's been hazed. He's come out the other side. And he's the president of the fraternity now. They hazed him.
He's in the locker room going, toga.
Yeah.
Toga.
Should. He should.
Sam Howell toga party.
But, at the same time, I don't want to turn him into Drew Brees. I think we need to slow down a little bit here. Like, Give it a chance, guys.
You know how this fan base works.
It's every
Fast
fan
and
base.
loose, baby.
Well, it's every fan base. The Patriots people are wearing bags on their heads yesterday. Oh, it's so terrible here. I'm sorry. Did we ruin your fall? Did we?
When do they start calling for Kraft to sell the team?
Yeah, sell the team, Kraft. They're going to get real mad about that strip mall visit now, aren't they? They weren't a few years back. Now they are. Now they're real mad about it. All right, we'll take a quick break. Pretty much the show is 630 Sports Capital. Oh, you missed your opportunity again. You know what time it is, Paul? Playing this punk music from the whatever era punk music's. College football.
We don't like the clash round here.
Oh, clash. We had a clash in Bedlam. Whoa! Whoa! What a week. You know, I'm going to start with Terps.
Yeah, let's.
I'll get to the rest of it.
Yeah,
I'll get to the rest of it.
We have a legit conversation to have this week about
the other
Terps.
stuff. I'll talk about the other stuff. That cheater up in Michigan, Connor Stallions. But the Terps, listen, I was told back in the spring that things were changing around here.
I like Loxley. Everybody likes Loxley.
I was told things were changing around here.
I never bought it.
They said it.
Go on record. I never bought any of it. Any of it.
I believed all of it.
Yeah.
To the
Sucker.
point where I went.
Boy Steve Solomon would say, sucker.
I said, I know they're going to lose at Ohio State. I'm sure they'll probably lose to Penn State and Michigan. I'm okay with that because they're going to win the other 9.
I stopped just short of calling you dumb when you were counting those wins, by the way. I remember when you were like, oh.
They were undefeated.
They're going to win that one. They're going to win that. And I'm going.
I knew early when they were winning games, but it was kind of close. I was like, all right. And then they were making the, let's use our third and final timeout with 9 minutes to go in the game, which makes no sense. And I'm like, oh no. Then they went to Ohio State and they lost. They were competitive till the fourth quarter, and then they lost. And I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like, this is fine. It's fine. Like, because they're going to lose to them. That team's, either going to be in the playoff or lose to Michigan and not be in the playoff. That's it. That's their season. Like, I'm okay with that. They got 8 first-round picks on their team. Like, whatever. It's fine. The way they lost was typical Maryland style spiral at some point. They spiral. It's fine. It's fine. They come home, homecoming, after a bye week, and get beat by a bad team.
That's right.
At the buzzer because they were using timeouts too early. And they should have never been close anyway. And I'm like, this is terrible. And then I'm like, now they're going to Northwestern. Perverts. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I knew it. I knew it.
Lost the week before, right?
Yeah, to Illinois. And I go, I knew it. I was like, I know it. This is not going to go well. I just knew it. They go there. They got run off the field. Like, it wasn't close. And then this one, this was the old 2020 special where you go into it, you think, you know what? We got a nice crowd. We're going to hang in there with them. And they just get destroyed.
Correct.
It's not close. It's embarrassing.
Not competitive.
51-15. That's a scoregami, right? It's got to be. 51-15.
In college, probably not.
51-15.
College, there's too many games. NFL, maybe.
I am not the type of person that calls for anything.
Oh. Here we go, Jim.
I'm not.
Here we go.
But I did say a couple years ago, at what point is that not acceptable anymore?
Correct.
And it's not my business because I'm not an alum and I don't pay for the tickets and I'm rooting for you guys. I am. I want you to win. You know that.
I've been saying it for 2 years.
At some point, like, it's one thing to lose. It's another thing to get thoroughly thrashed and embarrassed. So at what point is that not acceptable to you? And that's your choice, guys. It's not my choice. That's your choice. I don't call for any of this stuff. It's your program. Do what you want with it. I'd like to root for it. And I like him. I've met him a few times. He seems like a nice guy. I know he knows how to recruit. He kept Talia here, so he clearly, but like the product on the field, if that's your bag, that's your bag, guys.
Right.
It's not mine. Like, you guys every year have a game or two like this where you just get completely, utterly, thoroughly embarrassed.
That's right.
And I mean, I just don't even know how much more of that you're going to be willing to put up with. And then it's one thing to lose to Ohio State or Penn State where I'm all right with that. Like, these two teams have been this good for this long. They're running professional programs there, and I know that we're behind on that. And I hope one day we are that. We ain't trending that way, though. But whatever. They lose to them. It's all the in-between stuff that really makes it infuriating. Like, it'd be one thing if you lost to Ohio State, but you don't lose to Illinois, Northwestern, whoever else, and then you come home and you just get absolutely killed in front of your home crowd. I mean, come on, man. Like, I've watched every game they've played this year. The other day was like, I was PTSD'd of like 2021. Blackout, guys. Come on down to Bird. Blackout. We're going to throw couches on the street, and you're down 48-0 at half.
Here's the other part about this as well, which I think is probably the uglier part of unpacking all this. You have a talented, or I was told talented, senior quarterback that came back to play for your program. And you're apparently amazing at recruiting.
This is why I thought they'd win a lot of games this year. They have one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country playing for them.
And so you tell me where it's going to get kind of better than this situation this year. And if this is what you're peddling out there week to week, guys, I don't know how you let this go on.
Minus 49 rushing yards. That is hard to do.
I screenshotted that to you.
I've never heard of that.
That's absurd.
How did that happen?
Don't think you're going to
Roman Hemby's good, too. That's the weirdest part of it. Like, minus 49 rush yards. What, I got Connor Stallions on that sideline? How do they know? How? One missed tackle and you get 3 yards? How'd that happen? Mm-hmm. And then they put up that stat of their record in November, like, against ranked teams. Have you seen this?
No, I didn't see that.
I wish I had it in front of me because CJ sent it to me. It was ridiculous. They're like in October and November against ranked teams in like the last 8 or 9 years. They're 0-33.
Oh, my. Wow.
Yeah. And if I'm off by a game or two, sorry, but it's about that bad.
But they're basically winless, is what you're saying.
It's basically that bad.
Yikes.
So, I mean, I know this has been going on for a long time. I think the biggest mistake they ever made was firing Fridge. Thought that was a massive mistake. But outside of that, like, I like Mike. I want him to succeed. I keep buying in. They sucker me around every single time. I keep buying in. Like when that Edsel guy was here, I was like, I'm out on that dude. I'm like, that dude, he is not inspiring me. Seems like a crazy pants. I'm out on that stuff. Mike, I'm rooting for Locks. I want him to win. I think, like, I know why he wants to be here. I know what he's trying to build, but it's just not happening. And this season is a spiral job. I mean, this is terrible. How are they going to, they're going to end up with a losing record with that team. With Talia coming back as a fifth-year player, all-time leading passer in program history, they're going to end up with a losing record. They played Northwestern, who fired their coach before the season. They played Michigan State, who fired their coach 2 weeks before they played them. They're going to play multiple teams with under 500 records this year. And they're going to end up under 500. Mm-hmm. Guys. Now, if you want to at me, now do the Bears game. I'll hear you on that. That'd be a funny comeback. And I'll hear you on that. But this is about you right now. We'll get back to us. You hear me talk about us all the time. You guys, what's up? Mm-hmm. What's up?
I don't see
I want to do a straw poll at the VU. What are we going to do about this?
I don't see it.
SVP, what are we going to do about this?
I actually haven't seen it for a while.
SVP's going, I'm going to the basketball game tomorrow night. Don't worry about it, player.
It's like, I'm courtside player.
Yeah, I'm courtside player. Basketball season.
Me and Kev.
Hoop season, player.
Me and Kev.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that next time. I'll see you courtside, player. All right, I'll be right back. Ray Watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.